Welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 28. I am your host and my name is Shorty and I have a few beans on the line with me tonight. We have Cracker. How you going, Cracker?
Very well, thank you, mate.
That's good. We also have Chewy. How you going, Chew?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm pretty good. And Stu is returning tonight. How you going, Stu?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
We didn't scare you off after your first time on the cast?
No, just been a little bit busy, but we're back.
Glad to have you. So, as always, we have a jam-packed episode. There's always lots to talk about in the Magic world, and tonight is no exception. So, we're going to get straight into it, and the first thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of a farewell to something that has been around for a very long time. Something that's been around as long as I've been playing Magic. And
cue the violin music here in post. Can you, Frankie, Shorty? Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You can tell I've been homeschooling my kid and just talking to her the whole time. Yeah. Sorry, that's unfair. Frankie's probably taller. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that is true.
My kids definitely are.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
100%. So you've probably seen the announcement by now because it's been it's nearly 2 weeks old now, but it's been all over, or it was all over Twitter and social media for a little while. But Wizards is doing away with the DCI numbers and the Planeswalker points system. So Planeswalker points, for if you don't know, is something that was just sort of you accumulated by playing Magic tournaments, so actual sanctioned tournaments at your local store or Grand Prix or Pro Tours or whatever. And they were sort of used for, about the only thing they were really used for was getting buys at Grand Prix and things like that. But it also kept a record of the games that you'd played, or every sanctioned match that you'd played in every tournament you'd participated in, all your wins and losses and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of interesting to sort of go back and have a look at that sort of thing. And the DCI number was, I don't even know what DCI stands for, but it's the number that you used when you registered for your tournament. So it was like your membership number or your identifier number, so that when you played in those sanctioned tournaments, it would keep track of them and record how you're going, for lifetime points and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit of a shame that it's going away, but for me personally, I don't really care. It doesn't make a huge difference. But I know, like, for someone like you, Chewy, you've been around for a long time, and it's probably something that you've looked at quite a few times over the years. It might be a little bit sad to see it going.
Yeah, there's a bit of nostalgia there, especially as you mentioned, it tracks your events. And I think before episode 1 of this podcast, we went back and started looking at our history, and it was like, oh, that's right, I played at Card Heaven 17 years ago in my first ever, sanctioned F&M.
We sort of did when we're doing our Magic backgrounds or whatever, we
Origins.
Sort of Origins, that's it. We all went back and looked at our Planeswalker points and looked at when was our first tournament and things like that. So it was quite interesting to see.
Yeah, and I'm just shy of like 6,000 points over my career, which, some people have got, a whole lot more than that, but
I think I've got 5.
Yeah, it's probably about right.
So I've certainly accumulated them over the journey. So yeah, it will be a bit of a shame, and I know my DCI number off by heart. I can type it in really easily, I can recite it really easily. I have no idea what my Arena account is because Arena logs in automatically on both my desktop and my laptop. So I'm gonna have to learn a new number, and I'm nearly 40, and that's really hard to do.
Mostly you just need to remember the 3 digits on the back of the card, okay? Because it's just your credit card details that you need now, man.
Oh, okay. Well, if I say them here now, then I can just listen to the cast whenever I need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. So as of the 27th of May, the Planeswalker points system or the website that you could access will no longer be there. So if you are interested in going back and looking at your history, I'd suggest you do it in the next couple of weeks. There have been people sort of talking about archiving all the old data and saving it somewhere on a website. So I'm sure somebody will do that. And it is a little bit weird that Wizards haven't said that that's what they were actually going to do. They were just basically going to delete all the data, which is a little bit odd. But I've heard a few theories on why it might be, things to do with keeping people's personal information and different things like that. So I don't really know about any of that sort of stuff. We're not really going to go into that here, but Wizards effectively is going to be using, for all of their tournament systems, your Wizards account login, which I'm pretty sure you'll be able to just use your email address, Chewy. I don't think you'll actually need to remember like your arena tag. I think you can just, turn up at a store and they'll go, all right, do you know it? Nope. What's your email? Yep, here's your email, and they'll be able to find it. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a hassle, and yeah, it's not that hard to remember. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, and it is a little bit sad that little piece of history is sort of disappearing. So in typical Wizards fashion, they made the announcement, this is what we're scrapping, and didn't actually give all the details of what they're replacing it with, which tends to be the way they do things.
Because they haven't figured that out yet.
Well, they set themselves a deadline. They say, we're going to scrap this on the 27th of May. So it's basically like saying, okay, well, our homework's not due till the 27th of May, so we don't have to do it until the 26th of May.
If you leave it to the last minute, it only takes a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the motto as you walk into Wizards each day across the doorway.
If you don't get it right the first time, just ban it again later.
Exactly. Now, come on, we want Wizards to be our friends, and
we do
support us here. So.
All right, so the Wizards are doing some good things, and we'll move on to the next topic. And we'll leave that one behind before we say something we regret, because it's being recorded and posted on the internet. There's going to be another new release, as there always is, and Stu, I think you're going to give us a quick rundown on what this one is. So it's a release coming to Arena.
Yes, on May the 21st, we're getting the third set of Historic Anthology. We don't have a lot of details yet outside of 2 cards being Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and Phyrexian Obliterator. But at the same time, we'll be getting the Historic Rank Q will be coming back and being made permanent, as opposed to, I think at the moment, it's sort of been rotated in and out.
Yeah, yep.
And yeah, so this is May the 21st, and I believe the cost will be the same as the previous anthology, which was, I think, 4,000 gems or 25,000 gold.
Yeah, okay.
Like I was reading, I think on ACG or somewhere, they're saying that that'll unlock 4 copies of each card. Though I'm not sure if that's all cards or just the Obliterator and Ulamog.
Interesting. So
it's usually all of them, right?
Yeah.
Having a look at
you get it as the whole set.
So another thing we're getting, which I believe is tomorrow or the same time that we drop our show, is on the 8th. They'll be announcing all the other cards from the set, or they'll be previewed through a bunch of different websites or groups.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Which we might be able to get that up in the show notes as well.
Yeah, it depends when it gets announced.
Yeah.
The actual... So you've got which places will actually be announcing them. So at MTG Arena, Comic Book Resource, and a few other websites.
Okay, cool.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, Shorty, we've got a mini game going within the cast to try and get you to do as much work to put to put things in the show notes as possible.
In case I'm not already doing enough.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess once you start playing those historic queues, you want to put Justice Strike in your sideboard, Stu, to take down those opposing obliterators.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to read out those 2 cards? Because Ulamog is semi-recent, like in the last few years, but Obliterator, I don't think that's been around in Standard for quite a while.
So Obliterator would have been with New Phyrexia, right, which was 9 years ago.
Yep.
He's a creature horror. He costs 4 black mana, and he has Trample, and whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. And he's a 5/5.
So
right.
He's a bit of a house, but if you Justice Strike him, he deals damage to himself.
Which means the Obliterator's controller has to sacrifice.
Correct.
5 permanents.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Seems good.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. And what does Ulamog do for those who don't play Modern?
Yep, so Ulamog is a legendary creature Eldrazi. He costs 10 generic mana, is that what we call it?
Yep.
And he's an indestructible 10/10. And when you cast this spell, exile 2 target permanents. Whenever Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library.
So it's a cast trigger, the exile as well. So even if you go, I'm going to counterspell your 10-10 thing, you still get to blow up 2 things.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's be interesting to see if there's a mono black deck and a ramp deck that can cast Ulamog in Historic. Maybe the format's going to be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never played it.
So Historic's something that we haven't really spoken about much. None of us have really shown much interest in it, but these 2 cards do pique my interest a little bit. I've certainly cast my fair share of Ulamogs in Modern over the last few years, so yeah.
Well, it just looks like they're just gearing us up for Pioneer, right? Like, there has been rumours, or has Wizards actually mentioned that Pioneer will come to Arena?
Yeah, they have. Yep, they've said it's meant to be coming this year, apparently.
There are a lot of cards to bring in.
No, there's Jason Thass Historical already on Arena, so what else do you need?
You just need the Inverter of Truth, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, now Lurrus is in Arena, and, you've basically got all of Magic everywhere, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, we're not going to go too much into Historic. It's if you're interested in Historic, then good on you. We may get into it at some point. I'm sure you know exactly what's going on, but for me at the moment, it's not quite a deep enough card pool that I really care about it that much. So,
yeah.
But if they keep adding things like this, it does pique my interest a little bit, and mean we may have to start actually seeing what's going on over there.
Another reason to play Magic. I think that's fine.
just another reason in case we need it anymore.
Yeah.
So something else that's coming to Arena soonish is live cube drafting. So we had
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we had the sealed cube not that long ago, which I know you had a bit of fun with, Chewy. But,
yeah, it was actually decent, but yeah.
Yeah,
like,
we're getting live cube drafts. So what do you reckon of that?
I think it's amazing. Obviously, Magic Online's been doing it and do them regularly, and they have, Grim Monoliths and Black Lotuses and such. So it'll probably be Historic Cube again, but I actually enjoyed that. As a sealed format, it was fine. It was a bit bomby, but I think as an 8-player draft format, I think it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it, and I will play it a bunch and probably stream it. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Yeah. So when's that coming to Arena?
I don't actually know. June, end of June.
You don't have your show notes open?
I do. Yeah. 21st of June. That's my little brother's birthday. That's the winter equinox. There we go. For us down south, and it'll have a bit of a promo where the first draft is free. And I can see here in the show notes, Shorty, you've said that you'll assume it's been Phantom. Cube is always Phantom. Like anybody who gets like salty that Cube is Phantom, if anybody ever comes to my house and drafts my Cube, I will expect all of my cards back. Like everybody just understand that Cube is Phantom, and that means you don't want to play it, just don't. And therefore, then the discussion of why is Cube Phantom and why don't I get to keep the cards is null and void.
Yeah, it's more like
it's an experience.
With Arena specifically, it's more by actually allowing people to draft the format and keep the cards is a very good way of getting the people to backfill their collections for Pioneer and things like that. So,
but it wrecks the draft. It wrecks the draft because people go, I'm going to take that thing rather than the thing that I want for my collection rather than the thing that I want for the deck. And that impacts everybody at the table. So
that's no different to paper drafts though.
Yeah, but
which you keep the cards. So it's really not that much different. And one person taking one pick because they want to keep the cards, you're never ever going to notice the difference. People are going to just
farm. Like if it's like Cube Draft, you get to keep it. People are just going to take the expensive card or the chase cards or what have you. And if you go to a competitive draft, even your F&M, it's really rare that someone takes something just based on monetary value. They'll take the cards that's good for their deck the majority of the time. Obviously, there's exceptions. If you open something that's worth...
a foil stamped Tarmogoyf at a PT or whatever that was.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are outliers, but the majority of the time you're going to take the card that's good for your deck because you're there to draft and play the tournament. It's like, I completely bombed out in the tournament because I didn't take that removal spell, but I've got this fancy card for my commander deck. Sure, if that's what you want to do, you've ruined your night and everyone else's. But the majority of the time that won't happen. And Cube Draft is an experience, and it's cheaper to enter. It should be cheaper to enter, and you have a lot of fun. And
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. The sealed was pretty good. I think Cracker, you gave the sealed a go.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I found it fun.
Pretty good experience.
But drafting Cube is better.
Yeah,
because it's drafting a deck rather than just a pile of cards. And the sealed, I only played one, but it felt like it was just kind of like, well, my pool was great or my pool wasn't, and you just kind of had less agency. And it seemed more noticeable because the swings were bigger, whereas standard sets tend to be a little flatter.
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I only did the one and I went 0-3 in it, and that was it. So I'm looking forward to redeeming that. But I did hear mentioned that they are changing the card pool up a little bit for the draft version, because you can draft those synergistic decks and get a few of those build around cards and things like that. That in sealed they're not very good because you got that luck of the draw of what you open, but in draft they're actually really good. So it'll be interesting to see how the card pool changes and what it's going to look like. So June 21st, I'm sure we'll touch on that again sometime between now and then, and hopefully it's a good one.
So tinfoil hat for a second.
Yep.
They have already coded Black Lotus and some of the Moxen.
Yep, we've
what
seen
are our
them
chances?
Before. I don't know. It depends if they want to do it as a historic cube or not, where they limit it. I'm assuming it will be another historic because they've said that it's sealed similar to like the one that we had previously, cube sealed. They're just changing the pool a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that it's going to be historic again.
Okay, so it's baseline the same as the sealed. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't seen that part.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to code every card in. I think one of the developers probably got a spare Saturday, I'll code Black Lotus. And then they used it for something, right? So, yeah.
I mean, Black Lotus is probably a fairly easy card to code because it, yes, it's super powerful, but it's not doing anything ridiculous. It's not interacting with graveyards in funky ways or bringing things from exile or whatever. So it's probably pretty easy to get that one coded. Not that I know because I'm not a coder and I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm just going to... I'll first pick Lotus, second pick Lurrus.
GG's.
Yeah.
Seems good.
What more could you want? Yeah.
All right, so before we get into the rest of our main cast, we have our first ad. This is an exciting moment for our podcast. So we're doing a little bit of cross promotion with some other Aussies. So there's a guy named MP Numbers who's an Aussie YouTuber. And he put out a nice little ad for us on his last podcast, and I've got something for his cast. So if you're looking for some more Magic content, then go and check out Rather Be Draftin'. There's 3 friends. They catch up weekly to chat about the news, cards, arena events, and whatever else is happening in the MTG world. The hosts are MP Numbers, as I mentioned. There's also Food Time, and then a guy named Des Mags, which, if your name is Des Mags, that's pretty good in my book. Cause,
you are Australian, is what you are.
And we have some friends who are named Des and Mags. So, yeah, I quite like that one. But yeah, they each approach Magic in a different way, and that leads to some fun conversations. So search for Rather Be Draftin'. There's no G on the end there, and you'll be able to find them. And if you're on Twitter or whatever, use the hashtag MTGRBD so you can join in any of their conversations that they've got going on. And we'll link their podcast site in our show notes as well. So go and check them out. I've listened to their first few episodes. They're finding their feet still and sorting out their audio issues and things as we did when we first started.
We've all been there, yep.
But it's just good to hear some more Aussie content and happy to support those guys. So yeah, go and check out MTGRBD, Rather Be Draftin'.
Well done, guys. Looking forward to hearing more from you.
Yep. All right. So, Cracker.
Yes,
you
mate.
had a bit of an experience over the weekend, your first experience of commentating. Do you want to give us a rundown on what that was and what you were doing?
It was our finals. It was the league finals for April, and Chewy and I did commentary for the whole thing. And
we went deep, man. We went so deep.
We had a great time. First of all, I got to say, well done, Shorty and Chewy. You guys put in huge amounts of work to set up OBS and get all the screens and all the everything that except for me putting my dumb head in front of Skype and talking for 3 hours or whatever it was that those two did. So well done, boys. Good
job. It came
looks
up the
amazing.
tree.
Yeah.
Shorty, I've got to give credit to Shorty there. He kind of got the ball rolling. He just kind of handed me something that looked amazing as far as the overlay was concerned. And we had a night of like tinkering and got it. And then, I don't know, like I got inspired, and then we had player profiles and deck lists and ads and stuff.
Yeah,
so
you got real busy.
yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait for the next one. I hope I don't top 4.
But yeah, so we ran the show. So we had 3 rounds, right? We had the first and fourth played, and then second and third, and then we had third and fourth play, and then first and second. So it went really well. We actually have 2 of the top 4 competitors here. The 2 people that I lost to in the Swiss, and because I lost to Stu, meant I didn't come second. Thank you very much. So, how did it go, boys?
It was great. Had an awesome time, an awesome experience, and like sort of helping out in the background when I wasn't in matches and things like that was a lot of fun. And finding those little tweaks and trying to help get the audio right and sort of solve problems in the background was heaps of fun. And like you said, sort of setting things up during the week was great. So overall, I loved it. It was a great way to cap off that league that we'd finished playing in. And I was really happy with the product we ended up with. And if you haven't seen, if you missed the stream, which probably most of you did, then it's up on YouTube or it's a VOD on Twitch. So you should definitely go and look it up and watch through that and see the level of quality. Like I've sort of gone and watched a couple of other podcast streams that they've been doing recently for tournaments they've been holding, and I think ours was just as good, if not better, than some guys that are full-time Magic players and streamers and things like that. So I think it ended up really well, and I was really impressed with you and Chewy, Cracker, with your commentary. It was you guys did a great job and kept everybody entertained, and it was really good. So my actual Magic performance was absolutely horrible, so we don't need to talk about that.
Well, let's talk about this for a second, because we've said it.
Talk about it.
We've said in the past that Shorty likes to leave things to the last minute. So the night before, he was going to play his mono black sack deck, and then the next day he was on Team of Mutate.
What was the name of my deck, Chewy?
No.
Just calling it the mono black sack is enough for our PG Reddit podcast. Thank you very much.
Try and
we're
keep things.
We're already at the boundaries.
I think we think you know where that goes. Anyway, so what happened, Shorty? Like, why the sudden change?
I've been playing with that deck. Like I went into the tournament going, all right, I finished on top in the groups and whatever. It's like, that was good fun, but I also didn't really want to win a tournament where I'm paying for the prizes. So I didn't really want to come in and be super competitive and that sort of thing. So I was just going to play a bit of fun. And I'd been playing the mono black deck during the week, and that was it was doing fine. But a couple of days before, I found that the Simic Mutate deck, and played a grand total of I think 4 matches with it. And went, all right, this will do. I think I went 2-2 out of those 4 matches, but I had a lot of fun doing it. I went, this will be fun, so I'll give this a go. And that's what I went with.
Well, I enjoyed it because Chewy and I spent the whole time going, what does that card do again? And, wait, I've seen that one in limited, and that one exiles things and then puts permanents. No, that's the wrong one, and that one loots. So no, it was good. I'm glad you brought something different, because then we would have had a lot of the same thing.
Yeah. If Scryfall has like an activity tracker, like server performance, there's a spike during the coverage as I'm frantically looking up what on earth that card does.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my first round, so I played against J Mudd in the first round, and my game 1 I mulliganed 2-4, and I had three hands in a row with 0 lands, so couldn't keep any of those, and went to 4, and so that game was over in about 2.5 minutes. And that was not a good way to start the tournament. So the rest of it didn't really improve from there, but it was fun. I had a good day. So, but like I said, somebody else on this cast was also in those finals.
Is that why you came on today, Stu? Just to like
Maybe a little bit.
Sick
just
rub-ins?
to rub it into Shorty just a bit more. Yeah, again, I had a great time. I think what you guys did with the stream was just fantastic. My wife and kids sat in the lounge room and watched the bulk of it, which was really cool.
Oh,
you know,
sweet.
like, and then when I played my game, I then went out later and watched it with my wife as well. And this is when I beat Shorty. Check it. You know, so it's really good.
I think it's worth mentioning you beat Shorty in a pretty cool fashion, a line that neither Cracker or I saw.
Yeah, that was a great.
Well,
game
it was
three,
a line that I didn't see either. So,
but
what
you
I
still
did,
pulled it off somehow.
It was just an accident.
As soon as I didn't block, I went, oh crap.
yeah.
Now he can do this and this, and I'm going to be dead. And I just basically crossed my fingers and hoped that you didn't see the line, and yeah, you did.
Well, as soon as you didn't block, that was when the line showed up. I'm like, oh, my Dreadhorde Butchers are now 3-3s. Did quick maths, I've got it. And then I just had to make sure I played it out and not got it wrong.
What were you playing, Stu?
I was playing the
know.
Rakdos Sack with Luris as a companion.
One of two in the top four. I think there was only 3 sideboard cards different between yourself and the other.
Yes.
Luris
So I
Rakdos
was
deck.
playing 3 Myers Grasps, and Child Rebel Walker was playing 3 Scorching
Dragonfires.
Dragonfire, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I did just want to go back to the point on that play. It was actually so I went back and watched it, and it's awful watching yourself back and realizing how bad you are at trying to transition screens and type to people whilst you're trying to talk. And, you know, I cannot multitask. But overall, yeah, I'm really proud of what we did, and it was really good. But that moment was the surprise that, that Cracker and I both had. It was a real highlight, and that moment is probably what I'll think of, like, in the future when I look back at our first lot of coverage. Be like, I remember that play that Stu made.
Well,
and I'll bring it up to Shorty all the time. It's going to be great.
Because obviously I didn't hear or see what you guys were sort of commentating live. So to go back and watch it, and I'm thinking, all right, these guys surely picked this up well before I do. And I think I'd finished it, and Cracker's like, I think Shorty's just dead, or just before I'd finished it. I'm thinking, yeah, I already figured that out 3, So it was actually really cool for me to sort of see that and go, normally I'm the one that's surprised by what someone's doing, and I kind of felt like a real Magic player for a moment.
You've leveled up, Stu.
Yeah.
Leveled up.
Shows improvement.
Yeah,
That's it.
Which is good. That's what I want.
You just tell people you top 4'd your last event.
Yeah, exactly.
Top three these last
Top
event.
3'd, yeah, on the podium.
Yeah.
So should we just have a quick talk about what the
other two were?
deck lists were? Yeah, so Shorty was on the Mutate deck. Rakdos Sack,
What does it say in the show notes?
Some
some
pile of
scrub.
Jake.
Yeah, piloted by some scrub. So, Shorty, you wrote those notes.
Not those ones.
No, I wrote those ones.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Self-deprecating humor, right?
And yeah, Disco Stew. Shorty, you mentioned J Mud earlier when you played him in the first round. So he made the finals against Child Rebel Walker. Jay was on a kind of meta game. He took a punt and tried to predict the meta game a little bit and played a Gruul, so a red-green aggressive deck with lots of graveyard interaction and a nice fast clock.
And Trample Boys.
Yeah, lots
which
of Trample
are
Boys that
real
get
good against cats.
Yeah, and, he basically sat down and went, today it's all about believing in the cleave, and it very nearly got there in the final.
The final
against-
game was
That was
very
an
close.
incredible finish.
It was fantastic.
it was very good. So Child Rebel Walker was also on the Rakdos Sack.
Represent.
We knew there was going to be one in the finals, and they had a really, really spectacular almost final round. So as Shorty said, it's up on YouTube. It's on it's still active there on Twitch.
It was a bit of a
come
grudge
check it out.
match too, because in the previous league, Jay actually beat out Child Rebel Walker to put him into third place, right? So he didn't, he's pretty happy to get his revenge. And J Mud came second again.
So that's actually the last 3 Magic Beans events. Poor J-Mud has.
I mean,
has finished
I don't know about poor J-Mud.
I just keep sending him boosters, so he's loving it.
Yeah, but 3 seconds in a row, like, you know, he's gonna double down. I feel sorry for his first round opponent in the next league.
Oh, absolutely.
He's gonna come out hard, I think. Speaking of the next league,
so we'll be going almost straight into another league. So as we've sort of mentioned previously, we're intending on running these almost monthly. There will be a few, you know, a couple of weeks here and there where there's nothing going on in between the leagues. But our May league, which is currently open for registration right now, the registration will be closing on the 15th of May at 8 o'clock. So that's next Friday. We're recording this on the 7th of May. So you've still got a week to listen to this podcast and then jump on there and register. And as always, it's free to enter. It's open to absolutely anybody, any skill level. We just want people in there coming and having fun and playing. And yeah, we'll be splitting into groups again and running round robin for the first section, and then most likely the top 2, depending on numbers, will go from that into the finals, which we will be streaming again, of course, and we're hoping that next time we can do an even better job with the stream and have a few little extra things in there. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
So that means I have to finish top 4 again, because if I have to commentate, it's only going to be worse. Pressure's on.
Yeah, so the link for that will be in our show notes. As always, you can come and join our Discord to organise your matches and have a chat about everything with your opponents and things like that in our Discord. And we've had a couple of people ask sort of when do you have to play your matches and things like that. It's basically up to you. You just, once you're in your group, you know that you have to play everybody in your group once, so you can just contact them directly and just organise a time that suits you and them to play. So, you know, if you want to play your matches Saturday mornings, play your matches Saturday mornings. It doesn't bother us. You just organise them whenever you want and get those matches done. As long as you have them all done by the end of the group stage, then that's all good. So, yeah, come and join us. It's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to running it again.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We had a bit of a chat about the decks that were played in the league finals, which obviously are standard. We thought we'd continue that conversation and have a bit of a chat about where the standard metagame is sort of heading at the moment and what we're seeing. We're a couple of weeks in now to Ikoria standard, and as we've mentioned previously, companions are everywhere and they're certainly changing things up. So, Chewy, you're going to give us a bit of a rundown on what you've been seeing. I know you've been playing and streaming a lot, so you're probably the most experienced in standard at the moment out of any of us.
Well, I've had experiences, some good, some bad. So yeah, there's a new set comes out, the metagame gets shaken up. Some existing decks get cards added to them, like the Sacrifice deck's been around a long time. It's now got Lurrus, and it's kind of tier 1 again. So that's kind of the deck that you'd expect to face a lot of on ladder, and be prepared for that. So there are some times if you're playing best of 3 where you probably want to have some graveyard interaction in the 75. So yeah, expect that. Another popular companion that you'll see is Urian, and there's a couple of decks running around that have Urian as the I nearly said commander. Sorry, companion.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. So for anybody who's unfamiliar with it, Urion Sky Nomad is a 5-mana 4/5 flyer, 3 and 2 Azurius hybrid, so blue-white. His companion restriction is your starting deck contains at least 20 cards more than the minimum deck size. So the standard deck has to be at least 80 cards. And when Urian enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So there's a couple of, as I mentioned, a couple of versions of this deck running around. There is a kind of Bant ramp value style deck that's got, Agent of Treachery, Cavalier of Thorns, a bunch of Planeswalkers.
Not that much different to the old Bant Ramp decks. They've just basically added in all the the rest of their cards up to play sets of them and to get to 80 cards, really.
Yeah, exactly. And, resetting your Elspeth Conquers Death and things like that is always enjoyable. So that's kind of the default deck, but the spicy version is a Jeskai color, so red, white, and blue. And the red cards that are included are Luca, Coat Outcast, which is a new Planeswalker from the Ikoria set, and it's a 5 mana, so 3 and 2 red for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, and he has a lot of text. So the important text in the context of this deck is his -2 ability, which lets you exile a creature you control and search your library for a creature that has a higher converted mana cost and put that into play. So it plays things like Omen of the Sun, Birth of Meletus, Shark Typhoon, Castle Arrenvale to make a creature, and then turns that into an Agent of Treachery, which can then steal your opponent's thing, and then you can cast Luca the next turn, activate Luca again, sacking their creature, get another agent to steal the next thing. Then you cast Urion and then reset your Luca again, and, you've, before you know it, you own all of the things and your opponent, scoops them up. So, that deck's been, getting around. I've been playing that a little bit. Cracker, the name of the deck is Urion Trouble.
No, it's just got Luca Flyers, man.
Yeah. So that deck's really cool. Have you guys played against that deck?
Yes.
Yes. And how have you found it?
Frustrating.
Very frustrating.
It's very powerful, and it even plays Fires of Invention just to be able to, double spell on turn 5 and, cast your Elspeth Conquers Death and your Urion on turn 5.
It's interesting, though. Like, I think I've played it maybe half a dozen times, and I've only seen Luca being cast once. Like, there's a lot of other cards that they can play ahead of that. It's just crazy powerful.
Well, yeah, Teferi is a good Magic card. Narset's a good Magic card. Agent of Treachery is a good Magic card. It's got, Elspeth Conquers Death, Sharknado, Omens, Shatter the Sky. It's a really powerful deck. It's got Dream Trawler in the sideboard even. So there's it's a good deck that is kind of a mid-range controlling value deck that can just go, I'm just going to go so far over the top here. You can either scoop and move on with your next match or sit here miserable while I steal all your stuff. So if that sounds like your jam, then get onto it.
So yeah, I've played against it a couple of times and lost to it, but I've been playing, and I think it's one of the next decks on the list. I've been playing Tour de France, the cycling deck, as that one's called.
I was going to say that there's a reason that there's 4 Narset Pater Veils in this deck.
Yeah, it's to find your Teferis and Elspeth Conquers deck and Lucas and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And just to hate me.
Yeah, and so Tour de France is a deck name that I endorse. Can you explain that deck name to us, Cracker, before we get into the deck itself?
It's a Saffron Olive special, and it's a cycling deck. So,
and it's red, white, and blue, like the French flag, right? There's layers here.
Too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's a good pun.
But its game plan is just cycle a million things into the graveyard and Zenith Flare for 1,000. Is generally how it goes. So a lot of value creatures you play, like Flourishing Fox and Vigilant Rescuer and Drannith Stinger and Drannith Healer, and then you're basically just a Boros deck, right? You have black cards and blue cards and white cards in there and red cards, but you're mostly not casting any of those. It's got a glorious mana base. I've seen different versions which are just playing basics, and it's great. You just kind of super aggro, very low to the ground. People wrath you and you don't care because it just makes your Zenith Flares bigger and away you go.
And then you can always replay your Fox off old mate Lewis,
Correct.
who just appears everywhere. And but yeah, it's just one of the decks I've streamed, and it was really fun to play. I had a mixture of terrible draws and terrible punts. That meant my record probably wasn't reflective of how good the deck is, but it's a really powerful deck, and someone in in our Discord has taken it to impressively high mythic ranking. So yeah, it's a very cheap deck to build, and if you've got a way to deal with Narset, you're happy. But you only need to get in a few hits with a Fox or some Valiant Rescuer tokens, and then they're quickly in range of a big Zenith Flare and just dome people out. So plays Magic on a very different axis, and almost a block constructed deck. It's very good. So I think it's going to be a deck that's around for a little while. So I've
had a bit of fun playing that deck as well. It's good fun, and being super cheap on Arena for the wild cards is pretty handy.
Yeah, you only have to do a couple of drafts or done a sealed or two, or bought some packs, because the majority of the cards you're playing are not rares, and it's a so what does it say here? There's 8 rares, 28. So
that's good.
The Lurrus is the only rare in the main deck. Like there's in fact technically there's no
lands. No, you got Sacred Foundries.
I mean, sure, but you don't have to play those.
No,
I mean,
you can easily play without the Sacred Foundries, and if you're playing best of one, you don't need the sideboard. So it's basically just Lurrus and then a bunch of commons and uncommons.
Yep.
So definitely, if you're budget conscious on Arena, definitely give this deck a crack, because it is good, and like it's competitive, and it's super cheap and easy to get all the cards for.
Yeah, absolutely. So and it'll win you plenty of games. The Rakdos sack deck we've kind of spoken about. Team of Reclamation is still getting around. I said when at the start of this segment, existing decks picked up some upgrades like Lurrus into the sack deck, but Team of Rec got Sharknado. I can't tell you off the top of my head what that card actually called.
Shark Typhoon.
Shark Typhoon, Sharknado. Jinx. Thank you. Yeah. A way for it to, use its mana, draw in the late game, or draw some cards, have some early blockers, or pressure some planeswalkers. So, in the sort of early to mid game. So a definite level up for that deck. So I think that's something that you need to look out for. There's a few Orbosh variants getting around: mono black, black red sack with Orbosh. Less popular than the other versions, but you do see them. And the last deck, I won't spend any time really talking about it, but the Gruul mid-range deck got some airplay. I tried streaming it. The decks are...
no offense, J-Mud.
Yeah. No. The deck that J-Mud playing, the Gruul aggressive deck, is fine.
Okay.
It's a solid tier 2 deck, and in the right metagame can be really good. But the Gruul mid-range deck with Fires of Invention, the new guy that makes dudes when you hit with a trampler, a single copy of Adventurous Impulse, and a single copy of Embercleave.
This deck sounds horrible. Why did you even play that?
Somebody recommended it and said it was good, and I thought, well, I better give it the proper test before I just write it off on face value. And I should have written it off on face value, but but apparently it's been getting around, and even at some of the higher tiers on ladder, it's been having some success. The deck mulligans terribly. It's got a bunch of random one-offs that are good cards, and you feel like if you're playing one, why play one Embercleave with no way to search it up? So
that's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
So I think
that
the big thing I'm noticing with these decks that you just listed out, the only legitimate top deck, not including that Gruul deck that you just mentioned, that doesn't have a companion is Team of Reclamation. Everything else is running companions.
Well, I've seen a bunch of Team of Rec builds running Yorion as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, not surprising. But yeah, that's we've mentioned it, that companions are definitely everywhere, and I mean, from Wizards' point of view, it's kind of good to see, like when they bring in these new mechanics, and they don't want a set to be released and then none of the new cards get played. So that's pretty cool. I'm having a lot of fun with them, and I think you guys are too. So a couple of points on that, on these before we move on. Sorry, tangent time. I've been pretty good tonight, so you can indulge me here. I did just open the door for you to take a tangent, so go for it.
So what I do like about these is they're obtainable because you only need one.
Yeah.
So for those on a budget, you don't have to buy 4 of a card that's worth $50 to put in if you're talking paper, or it only costs you 1 rare wild card. So I think that is actually great because it doesn't create if everybody's playing the chase new rare cards from the new set and you don't have the resources to invest on them, you can feel like you're getting left behind. So that's a really good design. And secondly, one thing that we've had some discussions around on our Discord, and I don't know, we don't have enough information on it yet, but there are some decks that playing companions that rely on their effect. It's a bit like in Commander, right? Sometimes you play a commander because they're integral to your plan. You want to be able to play your Locust God. Where there are others where your commander's just there for their color identity and you're playing a strategy of the deck that you want to play. In that second category of deck, and the Garuda deck's an example of this, I suppose, you should be, are you better off playing no companion and having no restrictions on your deck, but just playing 4 of them in your main deck? So you don't have the restrictions, you can play any card you want, but you will see them as regularly as you'd see any other 4 of. So you still get their effect. So I think that's a space to explore that I find really interesting. And there'll be times where it's like, default, always have Urian as your commander in the Luca Fires deck, like no argument. But I think there are definitely some other cases where not having it as a companion and just jamming for, Lurrus in your main deck might be actually a really powerful thing to do. So I'm looking forward to that. That's something that I'm going to tinker with and have a bit of fun doing, I think.
Yeah, I think Lurrus is the most likely to fit into that category where you just play 4 in your main deck or 3 or 4 in your main deck.
Which would be great to get access to Mayhem Devil again.
Yeah, things like that. One thing to your point, Chewy, about not having to buy 4 of the card because they get expensive, that sort of thing. If you are playing Urian specifically, you now have to purchase an extra 20 cards for your deck to get to the 80 cards, which is probably involves a whole bunch more rares and mythics and things like that. So it's probably not really cheaper for the Urian deck specifically.
I punched that list in this afternoon just to see how far off I was, and I need 18 rare wildcards to finish it off.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a lot of the cards already. So
I had to buy because I've been playing Jeskai Fires for so long, and I took that hit some time ago where I had that 20 wildcard investment. So, it's paid for itself over the journey, but yeah.
That was another reason why I played that Mutate deck on the weekend, was I think I only had to craft like 1 Umori and a couple of Triomes, and basically everything else was commons and uncommons. So I was more than happy to splash a couple on that and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. All right.
So what do we play in upcoming events?
Yeah, so obviously there's our stuff. Make sure you come and play that. But Redbull Untapped, I think we spoke about it last year when the first one happened. But I can't remember exactly. I think it was locked, so it was only for European people the last time.
Yeah, that's correct.
But this time, Redbull Untapped is back again, and they're actually having some international qualifiers, so they're open to everybody. So there are going to be some that are Europe-specific again. I think there's a one for Italy and one for Spain or something like that, where only players from those regions can play in them. But there's also some that are international, so anybody can register for them. So they're open for registration now. I actually registered just this afternoon for the first one.
Same.
And the first qualifier is on May the 16th. And for those in our time zone, so the Australian Eastern Standard Time, well, I'm assuming that's what the AEST stands for. It's starting on May 16th at 5 p.m. So it's not very often that we get these large tournaments that are in a good time zone for us. And a Saturday night at 5 p.m. is pretty easy to be home for, especially
it's not like we're going out on a Saturday night.
Not that we'd be going out on a Saturday night anyway, but it's a pretty good time slot. It means you can play through the Saturday night, and if you happen to do well, you can come back the next night. So they're going to be 2-day qualifier events, free entry with a $5,000 prize pool for top 8. So that's pretty good. I mean, making top 8 is going to be pretty hard, but still a $5,000 prize pool for a free entry event is quite good.
So there's already over 2,000.
Yeah.
people
When I
registered.
registered today, there was nearly 2,400, and yeah, there's still a week and a bit to go for registration. So I'm assuming it'll be at least 2.5, maybe even close to 3,000 people registered, which is pretty nuts. And yeah, your chances of actually making it into the top 8 is extremely slim, but you never know. My plan is basically just get on, play a round or two, and if I lose at least one of those rounds, then I'll just drop from the event. So there's no harm in that, and there's no loss from me other than getting to enjoy playing some Magic. So definitely looking forward to that. So there's a qualifier on May the 16th. That's the first international one. There's another one on June the 13th, and then another one June the 27th. So they're all 2 or 3 weeks apart over the next month or so. And yeah, once I think it's either the person that ends up first after the top 8, or it might be first or second, qualify for the finals, which is only meant to be like a 16-player major event, which is for 75 grand. So yeah, pretty big prize money. And being Red Bull, they're obviously going to be promoting it and putting it out on Twitch and things like that. There should be some really good coverage. So a good way to get your name out there if you want to be a known Magic player, and get your face out there on the streams and become a superstar or whatever you become these days as a Magic player. And yeah, looks like it should be pretty good.
I'll probably stream the matches I play. It may be one, I don't know. Trying to decide what deck to play, which was part of the previous discussion of working through all the decks in Standard to figure out, what I want to do. By the sounds of things with Lurrus Recursion and the Luca decks, my deck building is going to start with 4 main deck Grafdigger's Cage, and I'll just go from there.
That's a bold strategy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Super pays off.
Yeah. So yeah, that tournament's going to be run through MTG Melee, which if you're listening to any other American-based podcasts at the moment, you've probably heard about them. There's a few other major podcasts and tournament organisers and things out there that have been organising events through there. I believe Brad Nelson, who's a very well-known Magic player, is involved in the behind-the-scenes of MTG Melee. So I had a look at their system, and it's pretty good. And it's a good system. It's not quite as good as what the Arena Nexus system should be like, the one that we did the test event for. But it's all web-based, where you get your pairings and you can get your opponent's deck lists and things like that. So yeah, I think their tournaments run quite well and quite smoothly, and they can obviously handle the volume of players that are going to be playing in this sort of event. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be, like Chewy said, he'll be streaming, and if he's not streaming, I may do it, or I might just record my matches, and no doubt I'll figure out what deck I'm going to play about 3 minutes before deck submission's due and run with that, as I usually do.
Got to be consistent, I suppose.
Yeah. The other two, Cracker or Stu, are either of you guys interested in playing it?
Yeah, I think I'll register for it. Whether I actually play or not will be dependent on the day.
Yep. Cracker?
Yeah, sometimes family happens.
Same thing. I mean, I'll sign up, but, kids depending and that kind of stuff, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like I said, it's a free event, so I would suggest just register for it so that you're on there and you get the notifications and reminders and things, and then if on the night you're too busy, then just don't play. You're going to give someone a free buy, most likely, but there's no harm in it, really. You're not putting down any money. And if you are still looking for other things to play, they are still running all the Magic Fest online qualifiers that are running at almost any time of the day, so you can definitely go and get in on those as well. And I believe one of the finals from that is on the same weekend. I know a couple of guys in our Discord are talking about trying to potentially do like almost 48 hours straight of playing Magic, so be interesting to see how that goes.
Just want to play mono red if that was the case.
get those naps in between rounds.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so we might just wrap up there. We're about out of time, so we've been through everything we need to. We'll go through all our usual stuff and remind you, as we said before, our league. Come and join us in our Discord and jump into our league. It's been great fun. It's been awesome fun having a chat with everybody. And yeah, if you want to be involved in a stream that's getting put out there for the finals, then join our league, get your way into the finals, and you'll be out there on the stream as well. So been heaps of fun, and the Discord's always a great place to come and talk to people. The guys that are planning on playing in the Red Bull event, we have a channel specifically for that, where everyone's sort of talking about what decks they're thinking of playing and working out sideboard guides and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely a good community there. So come and join us. As always, you can head to mtgcardsales.com.au and use the discount code BEANS15 to get a 15% discount on any cards you want to purchase. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter. Just look up Magic Beans Cast and you'll find us on all those platforms. If you want to find me personally, I am at Peace Inc. on Twitter. Cracker, you are?
At JoelHill_.
Chewy?
At Chewy MTG.
And Stu?
At Stewie.
Very good. So that will do us for this week. We thank you again for listening as always. Stay safe out there and we will see you next time.